Good morning, everybody. So we are not actually meeting for ELA today. I'm just recording this video for you since we have iLearn testing this morning. So here is our text for this week. It's called Rocketing into Space. So this is a non-fiction text, meaning this is all about something that really happened, and this is actually a biography. So that means you're reading a nonfiction text about a person's life that was written by somebody else. So this biography, Rocketing into Space, is about a well-known astronaut named James Lovell. He also went by Jim Lovell. He was the captain of the Apollo 13 mission, which we'll be reading more about. Our essential question for today is, why are goals important? So, a goal is something that we want or something that we want to achieve. We're going to read about how one man turned his education and experience to reach his goals. All right, let's dig into the text, Rocketing into Space. When James A. Lovell Jr. was a boy, he loved to build rockets and launch them into the sky. But his dreams went a lot farther than his rockets. Like many boys who grew up in the 1930s, Lovell dreamed of being a pilot. And as he watched his rockets soar, he knew someday he would too. High Flying Dreams. Lovell was born in Cleveland, Ohio in 1928. He worked hard in school and planned to go to a special college to study astronomy and rockets. So remember, astronomy is the science of space. Unfortunately, he didn't have enough money to attend. Lovell had to figure out another way to reach his goal. Lovell was motivated, like he really wanted to find a way to fly rockets. So he went to college near his home for 2 years and then signed up for flight training at the United States Naval Academy. After 4 years at the academy, Lovell joined the United States Navy and became a professional naval test pilot. So if someone's a professional, that means that they are educated and trained to do that job. His job was to fly planes before anyone else was allowed to fly them. So let's take a look at this photo caption here. James A. Lovell Jr. became an astronaut in 1962. He flew 4 space missions. Yeah, so let's look more at this paragraph here. So, you might be thinking, well, he wanted to go to school to study astronomy and rockets. Why on earth did he join the United States Navy then? Well, remember what the text says up here. He didn't have enough money to attend, so he had to find another way. And it may seem like by joining the Navy and becoming a pilot for the Navy, that doesn't seem like it would make any sense, but remember, he still wanted to be a pilot and he still gets to fly planes. And no, he may not have actually reached that final goal yet, but he's taking a step in the right direction. And again, since he didn't have money to go to college, the Navy actually helped him on his way to eventually achieving his goals in a different way. All right. So remember that just because one way for you to reach your goal may not work out, it doesn't mean that there is not another way. Pilot to astronaut, as we're about to see right here. As a pilot, Lovell spent more than half of his flying time in jets. He taught other pilots how to fly. He also worked as a specialist in air flight safety. So he was especially qualified for this, for air flight safety. So he's still pretty important. Soon, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA for short, put out a call for astronauts. Lovell applied for the job because he had all the essential skills, meaning the important skills needed to fly into space. As a result, NASA chose him. See, it all works out. By 1962, James Lovell was an astronaut. He had finally reached his goal. And obviously, he worked very hard to do that. Big challenges. Lovell flew on 3 space missions, so quite a few. And then in April 1970, he became commander of the Apollo 13 mission. This was a big responsibility and a great honor. This was also one of the biggest challenges of Lovell's life. So, a little background of the Apollo 13 mission was actually supposed to be the 3rd mission to land on the moon. As this says here, Apollo 13 was supposed to land on the moon 2 days after leaving Earth. However, the spacecraft had a serious problem, big problem. One of its oxygen tanks exploded. The crew did not have enough power or air to breathe. They could not make it to the moon. So obviously, if your oxygen tank explodes, that's a big problem. So they were going to run out of air to breathe and run out of power. Lowell spoke with the experts at NASA. No one knew what to do at first. Then the team on the ground did some research and came up with a solution. The astronauts followed the team's directions and built an invention using plastic bags, cardboard, and tape. Imagine that, using plastic bags, cardboard, and tape to save this mission. It worked. It cleaned the air in the spacecraft, but the next problem was even bigger. How are the astronauts going to get back to Earth? So think about this for a minute. You're out in space with just 2 other astronauts, and you lose the very thing that's helping you breathe and the very thing that's giving your rocket power. And you have to work with your team that's there with you in space and also talk with NASA back home. And these guys are doing research trying to figure out a solution because they didn't know what to do at first. So imagine the kind of pressure that these men were under. But then they create an invention with plastic bags, cardboard, and tape, and it works. So kind of mind-blowing, isn't it? Oh, here's a photo down here. NASA's team works to solve Apollo 13's problem. A job well done. The NASA team decided the astronauts would use the lunar, or moon, module as a lifeboat. Anytime you see this word lunar, it is referring to the moon. James and the other 2 astronauts climbed into the smaller spacecraft and shut the hatch tight. They moved away from the main spaceship. With little power, water, food, or heat, the astronauts listened carefully to the team at NASA. Yeah, so when they came back, they weren't even in the main part of the rocket. They were in a different part, the smaller part, the module. So basically think of it as like the rocket's lifeboat. The trip back to Earth was dangerous and scary. For almost 4 days, the astronauts traveled in a cramped capsule. They were cold, thirsty, and hungry. Then, with millions of people watching on television, the module fell to Earth. Years later, James Lovell said that Apollo 13 taught him how important it was for people to work together. His favorite memory was when the capsule splashed down in the Pacific Ocean and the diver knocked on the window to let them know they were safe. So here's a small photo of the Apollo 13 crew landing back to Earth. The Apollo 13 crew splashed down safely on April 17th, 1970. And let's read this little text box here. A dream come true. Did you ever dream of going into space? Check out Space Camp. And I know a few of you are really interested in space, so hey, maybe this would interest you. Space camps have been around for more than 30 years. They make science, math, and technology exciting so kids will want to learn more. And like the NASA training programs, these camps teach the importance of teamwork and leadership. So, hey, maybe some of you would want to check out Space Camp. Okay, so I'm actually going to be posting a video that gives you a little more information about the Apollo 13 mission because it really is interesting. So make sure to check that out in addition to this video, and don't forget to answer the questions on its learning about the text.